So that was 1 minute of feeling the energy of God. Don't mind me. I'm not a dancer. I don't really know the moves to dance, but I move my body, sha. If I'm not moving my biceps right, um, either way, dancing is movement of body. So today's topic, right? I can see how skinny my hands look like. KJ. I said, but it looks funny. Like the way it's skinny. The way it's looking skinny from this distance. Right. But that's the side view. I learned that on this side it looks different. But anyway, it doesn't really matter how it looks like. So I love to work out naturally. I was just working out when I post to make this video. Sorry about my face not showing. Don't mind me. I didn't really start with the initial face recognition. Whether you see my face or not, right? What's important is the niche. It's the message. Same notion. It's the message. And the message is everything because the sea of consciousness is love. Consciousness is the only reality. Is not fallacy. Because anything you're conscious of, right, you literally can feel. And once you can feel it, it's real. Even if it happened to somebody else, even if you're just reading it in a book, as long as you're conscious of it, that consciousness accepts it as real because you're conscious. This is why people make efforts to control media, right? To make you conscious of something negative. That's the whole point of controlling the media because they understand, right, that as long as you're conscious of it, it becomes real, even if it is not real. They make it real to you. Your consciousness gives it reality. That's what the media does. That is why people would rather you facing things that they want to give reality to, right? Things that don't really have love because they don't know any better. Not because they are bad people initially or they have bad intentions, even though their intentions seems to be selfish. Right? But those intention is not selfish. The reason why I'm talking about this topic, sea of consciousness, right? Is because I love to be in the sea of consciousness. Isn't that selfish? I love it. I enjoy love. I enjoy to dance in love, to feel love. It feels good to me. So it's something that I desire. I desire love to expand because it feels good to me, right? It is vain or idle conversation to say that there is no selfishness. As long as there's a desire, right? There is something that you want. That's the point of expressing the word selfish here. There's something that is important you gain, right? That is why I can tell you I'm still growing because I'm still desiring love. I don't know if there's a point where I grow into seeing love as not something to desire, right? I guess there probably is for me to think that it exists, right? But right now, I'm in that point of where love is something I desire because not because I don't have it, but because I want it. It can never be enough for me. I can never not desire love. I don't know how to explain it. There's no point of where I'm not desiring love. And so the sea of consciousness, right, was in a book waiting to be awoken. It was waiting for the right person to push forward, to push beyond the physical and to understand. But you can only do that with a different level of awareness. Let me explain. First time I read the book, right, that sea of consciousness chapter, right, didn't really kick in with me because I read it without the understanding of what that sea of consciousness is. So the first time I read it, I can tell you, I just read it like I'm reading a story. I wasn't reading it like it's expressing something real that I can also experience if I understand what the writer is missing, right? But because I've grown to understand that there is no separation in spirit, right? So when I could see the writer talk about killing the letting go of the seven emotion or something like that, it made sense that it just mean the death of the ego. And because I've death my ego honestly, right? And I wondered, I questioned, right? At the second time I was saying it, like this ego death is what they are referring to. That you need to let go. But before I death my ego, I couldn't relate to the chapter that way because I didn't understand it, right? My consciousness had not reached that point that it would make sense because my ego wasn't dead. That's the thing. When your ego is dead, right, there's no reversation. You cannot stop what you understand. You can't rewind the hands of time to act like you don't know shit. Your actions are tailored around what you know. It's so bad that it is the only thing your consciousness now is highlighting as you're experiencing life. You're not experiencing life the way other people are experiencing life. You don't look outside and see the world the way people see the world. You don't see someone talking and you are thinking, what is this person saying? Who is this person? Right? You're thinking what energy is speaking behind this. You're not seeing the world the way people would automatically perceive it because you have passed that lens of seeing anything but spirit. So I'm usually distracted, to be honest, because my attention span is not that it has to be exciting all the time. So I'm always fun with myself, right? Because I'm always excited of something that I'm conscious of. That's the thing about ADHD. Consciousness glitches through spaced out events in time. That is what ADHD does. You literally can see consciousness at different levels. You can see it in the plasma form, you can see it in different forms, and you can glitch in and out of it just like that, right? I don't just know how to do it intentionally. Like, I don't know how to say this is what I want to glitch into. right? That is why I am looking for that space where I have enough quality time to sit with myself. I want to know how I am with myself alone, right? What my arrangement is like, how I arrange my stuff, how I organize myself without anyone around me. That is what I'm excited and interested to see. So I'm working towards just experiencing that, right? So everything I'm doing is to work towards that independence of knowing what that feels like genuinely without inconveniencing anyone, without needing to raise your voice or anything like that. I want to study this God within me like a devotion that it deserves because I'm coming to understand it as I grow into consciousness that is love, right? So I want to get more personal with myself, more time with myself because every day I'm always working on the vibrations around me, keeping it, you know, keeping the energy space, right? Positive enough for me to grow. But when I don't have that as something that even exists, right? There's no need to keep positive space around me because the space is always positive. It's always me, right? So I want to see what creatives I generate in that real authentic self of expression. So that is naturally something that interests me. I want to see how I wake up to work out. Naturally, I wake up to work out by myself. So I'm not having anyone that is interested to see I grow. Not even my own sis, right? It's something that was terrifying at first. Till I made it clear that, in short, let me be frank and sincere with you, right? All this your fear, I don't understand it because I'm not hurting anybody. I just want to at least be able to go out to the beach shirtless, feeling comfortable because my chest is now looking normal, right? Because I've worked on the chest. It doesn't feel awkward, right? To me, not to anyone else, because I'm not interested in anybody else, right? I always go to the beach when I was in school then, and I go by myself. I don't go with company. I'm not always seeking company in the beach. So one day that a lady joined me on the beach, I was surprised to see her there. That she joined me, and I was wondering, really. And I appreciate her kind gesture of finded, she found me interesting, and she wanted to get to know me, but because I had the ugly experience prior to meeting her, it didn't end up nicely. And to that, I apologize for how I responded, right? So I can tell you that I've been there, I've done that shit that I can't say I would ever repeat my whole life, right? But yes, I'm glad that in all this I learned that I would never rush anyone to, even not even if they are close to me, right? Or if they come to me by themselves, will I just jump and think it's a green light? It has to be that it's genuinely true, right? That they are certain that that is what they really want. Because coming close to me, right, you have to find out if that is what you genuinely want to be close to me. then I'm happy to always, because I'm always going to give my best of my best, right? And then I could be hot when I encountered her on the beach. It was just one night like that that was oddly around that after 11. I used to stay at the beach till like 2 a.m. before I go inside and sleep because I was not trying to disturb everyone around me. In short, the reason why I liked coming over to that place was because of the beach. I love to be at the beach. I love the water, even though my energy is fire. I'm a beach person, I would say. I love that scenery or how do they call it that the beach gives. So I'm a beach lover. So I don't need a company at the beach to feel good. It's the water that even amplifies the atmosphere. And I'm someone that naturally loves looking into the sky, not even only at night, right? During the day, I see the sky and it tells me a lot. It makes me grateful for God that I exist with Him. So I'm literally like that. So that night was just happened to be that prior to that instant, I felt right. I felt like I had a particular eyes I used to look at every female energy then because of prior to that night, right? I was experiencing some. Meanwhile, funny enough, na me cause am. No be say a person push me, but yeah, I was not aware that naturally someone can just choose to be demonic, right? I'm not that kind of person, so I'm always intentional about connections. So I never thought that that could happen, and so that was where I started withdrawing from connections, and only for me to make another connection, right? Out of that hot and transfer the hot. Seriously, I can tell you that I have lived some kind of life that has made me understand why I rather prefer free will than anything less. And I'm not even interested in anything that isn't free will. So, entering the sea of consciousness is something that you have to completely surrender to seeing that you are nothingness. Just being conscious of that book, of the state of how the person that the devotee that entered the sea of consciousness, how she felt it. But I wasn't using her method, I was using love's method because I have a different experience of love being the only power that can exist. So I wondered what would be the sea of consciousness looking through the eyes of spirit. And it was clear to me that it's just the formless state of love that we call the sea of consciousness. So it's the formless state of love that we are calling the sea of consciousness. Every time we say it, there's nothing really into it other than that. And some people will call it the subconscious mind, right? Some people will call it your higher self. But in the sea of consciousness, I noticed that nothing exists, just one. Yes, I was expecting to see probably the Trinity, because I grew to understand being the voice of the Trinity, right? But I didn't see three. I just saw one and void. And because I'm seeing only one, right? The one will take only one image, which is what I see, which is me. So that is literally telling you that in spirit, you don't see multiple versions of it the way people express it as when they are trying to understand it. I've been sneezing all day, no catarrh, just dry, but not really dry because I spit out. It's just that my body is changing form, right? And it's going through a lot of changes at once. And I don't really have that understanding environment that understand that a lot is happening to me. So my environment is still demanding of me like I'm every other person. Like nothing is really happening to me. So I'm not even sometimes I forget that a lot is happening to me, right? Because until I see myself in the mirror, sometimes I'm like, "You've grown." Because that's when I'm reminded. Apart from that, my environment doesn't even observe it. Aside people outside, like where I live, where I'm residing, it doesn't know that anything has happened to me. So everyone else, they can't even see that there's a change difference between me, right? It's just because they are used to seeing me every day, right? So there's really they don't see any difference because they are used to seeing me every day. So I look the same. That's the deja vu of people that you meet every day. They get so used to seeing you the way you are that they don't see that a lot of changes have been made. People that would really notice the changes are people that haven't seen you in a while. Then they see you and they're like, "Wow, this is not how you look before." But because these people are used to seeing you every day, right? They literally don't see the difference between you yesterday and today. You just look the same way today. Although they look the same way they looked last year and this year, right? But because you are not moving around, if you traveled and came back, probably they would recognize that you probably look different. But because that indoor this thing, right? You can't really tell. And so it doesn't really matter if someone can tell or not. That's the whole point of what I'm driving at. Someone being able to tell that there is a growth happening to you or not isn't even anything. There's nothing new. There's nothing. You don't feel different because you're used to it not being different. Do you get? So somebody else might think otherwise, right? But it doesn't have that same effect to you. Not because you're not grateful for the difference or you're not recognizing the difference, but because you know it's natural to you. It's so natural that it doesn't feel so strange. It feels like what's the difference, right? So I learned something when I saw myself, right? In the self consciousness, because there's nothing else that can exist apart from your consciousness, your reality, your existence can only see you, right? But when I saw myself, something was clear, right? That there's nothing I can do that would make me more valuable than that version I'm seeing. That version I'm loving with all my heart and my being, right? There's nothing I can do right now that would make me different from that person because I am that person. I'm not becoming that person. There's nothing I'm doing that is making me that person. There's nothing I need to do. There's nothing I can do possibly that can make me that person. I'm just remembering how I used to look like before I was that person, more like it. So that's something I learned. I hope this can really help someone out there because I followed the code within me to share this message without knowing if I'm hitting the nail on the head, right? So yes, this is my new foundation without gym access. So indeed, I do have a lot of working out to do to look like I'm working out, right? My shoulders has to show the difference. But yes, it's not a limitation. Maybe because my future self has already gotten that shoulder that I keep emphasizing on. So it's just a matter of getting the tools to express that side of workout. But regardless, I'm grateful for the fact that I can even work out without having that gym access and without needing to eat 3 times a day at most and not demanding it. Because I had a master, right, that taught me even if they give you 5 pieces of nothing, as long as that is what they can afford to give you, right? If they had more to give you, they probably should have given you or would have given you. So anything someone else gives you, you're not accepting it because it is what you deserve. You're accepting it because that is what they offer. And you're just grateful for the fact that they have that gesture of giving. So that is how I've always understood it after I encountered that master that no matter how much it looks, you know, in quantity, right? Or no matter how much it appears to be, it is not what I'm being given that is giving me value. It could never give value to anyone. It's just accepting that people's ability to give is the beauty of giving because giving, right, is about free will. You don't force giving. So I will never force anyone to give me anything because it's what you rather prefer, right? And at the same time, I also learned just because someone cannot give you what you deserve does not mean that you should use that to say you don't deserve more and not go for more. It just means that when it comes to them, you should not think of anything other than what they can, their ability. Because people cannot really do more than they can, right? You can't force people to do more than they are willing to. And that is justice, right? And if you wish to do more, right, you do more with the understanding that it is not because you are doing more that they would treat you any better. You are doing more because it is who you are. So you either choose to do more or do what is in your heart. Because the truth is, are you doing more to impress anybody? You have to question yourself. Are you trying to impress anybody by doing more? No. If I work out every day and I push more every day, I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm doing more because I can push, so I push. So if I give my best, right, it is because it's who I am. So giving my best to me, right, is doing the best I can to express love. That is how I see it. Because, like I said, love is the sea of consciousness, and the sea of consciousness is my home, is where I exist. It's the only place I exist, right? Because I'm not anything. I don't even exist aside from there. That's my biz, my domain. It is nothingness that makes me exist, right? So, in that excitement of that, I could understand why consciousness is the only reality, because once you're conscious of it, once you see it, a feeling is generated within you. That's why you cannot see something negative, right, and not experience a negative emotion. You can't see someone die and not and be excited. It's not even mentally accurate, right? It's even in grief, it's not common. So you can't really say you will see something negative and you just be happy and smiling and you be happy and you say thank you, thank you. Like at that point of encountering that negativity, it takes outgrowing the fact that understanding that negativity, once you experience it, right, once you let it settle in with you, it becomes yours. And you don't want that. So it takes that consciousness to not absorb it as yours. And that's my going into seeing how consciousness is the only reality. It's not arrogance. It's not saying you know better or you know it all. It's saying that anything that you can visualize, right? That you can visualize, not just visualize, you can feel with visualization. Because most times consciousness are things that you don't just see, but you feel. That's why you are aware of it. I can't explain it other than that right now. My system is almost entering that. Sorry, I have to close. It's like my okay. I thought it was lagging. It's moving funny. That's why. But yes, I hope I was able to cover the topic just in case to be on the safe side. Let me wrap up. And I've passed the time, so I hope I was able to stay on track on this topic because the sea of consciousness is love, right? It's the formless that everything stems out from, that makes everything exist. That is what is the sea of consciousness. So I was trying to give you a clear understanding of how see it in real time. I don't know if I was able to touch every angle of it, but if I don't, I probably would do another title of it with a different lens. And probably if I understand it even much deeper, because I love to grow in understanding. So the more I grow, the more I have new gist for you to express what I'm actually learning in a new perspective. Because new is usually change and it gives a different eyes to the same story that makes a whole lot of difference. So thank you for being in my life and thank you for watching my life if you do.